Welcome to the kiwimana Bay. Hi, Beekeeping Banter Roundup. This is episode 124 of our beekeeping show. We are Gary and Margaret. We love honeybees. We are kiwimana, and we are beekeepers who live in the Waitakere Ranges on the wild west coast of Auckland in New Zealand.
Absolutely, and we're on the wild west coast, not off the coast, as the last show host said. Remember that?
Yes, I do, but that's a geographical error.
Absolutely, and Kiwimana is a place where the beekeeping community can share a conversation and connect. And in this episode, we talk about
victory for Manuka.
Beekeepers on the Breadline.
And Bloody Australia Day ratbags. I think that should be flaming mongrels.
I think so too.
And we also, as if that wasn't enough, build and sell beekeeping supplies. We teach beginner beekeepers and provide beekeeper services and advice. And we are the Bees Knees Club Facebook group.
Yes, great to have you joining us. We know life is busy, so we appreciate you've taken the time to join us today. Thanks so much for being part of the Kiwimana Buzz.
We have also been known to go off on tangents about other issues like bananas and awesomeness. And we're doing a very special little shout out to a small girl in Alabama. Hi, Lydia.
Yeah, hi, Lydia.
Banana!
Okay, well, it's a couple of weeks to the end of bee season 2017, which started on the 1st of September 2017 and finishes on the last day of May 2018. And, we feel the cold of winter. Do you, Dale?
Yeah, it's getting colder. Luckily, we got some firewood delivered today, so we'll have our fire going soon.
Awesome. And the winter chills are creeping in over here in New Zealand. So, what has been happening in the weather, Gary?
Well, we had that cyclone, didn't we? Did we talk about that last time? I can't remember. I don't think so.
No, we had storms and high winds and then heavy rain and lightning.
Hives knocked over by falling trees. Unfortunately, I lost one of the hives because it got hit by a huge tree and the queen must have died. So that was no good, was it? And you lost one as well, didn't they? Got blown over in the wind.
Yeah, we're talking about what's been going on, and what do you think's happening with the drops in temperature? What does it mean for the girls, Dale?
Well, they'll probably cluster together more, probably slow their laying down, and the queen should have been starting to lay her winter bees.
Yep, but not all of them are stopping laying because of the chill, but because of Varroa loads. And unfortunately, I've been called to a few inspections to check bees that are looking not too good, and unfortunately, these colonies have since died. So guys, as we head into winter, make sure your hive is Varroa treated, or if you aren't treating, monitoring on a regular basis. I just can't stress it enough.
Yes, absolutely. You've got to keep those loads down, and so your Varroa don't outbreed your bees, don't you?
Absolutely, and I think that a lot of people are aware of it and are doing something about it. And the oxalic acid vaporization tool is selling like the proverbial hotcakes because it's becoming one of those go-to treatments, which has still not been showing to cause resistance in Varroa mites. So the bees are surviving and the Varroa is not being empowered by anything harsh in there. So I'm very excited about that.
Yes, absolutely. And all the people in the Northern Hemisphere will be getting ready for your spring. Or there's already swarms about, eh?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that on there, and we will be talking about that a bit further on. So what's been happening at Kiwimana, Gary?
Well, we had a lot of feedback about Les Crowder. Had some people not so happy, and most people were very happy, so that was good. I know it got a bit political, and we went off on a few tangents, but anyway, it's all good, isn't it?
That's why we're here. We're sharing information, other people's views, not necessarily and not always ours, but, we share it nonetheless and give our opinion as well. So we've got good and bad on that one.
Yeah, but, I think when we interview people, we kind of like to tell their story, so I think that's, yeah. But I don't know, it's all good. isn't it?
I think it's the key is that it's their story, and we may not agree or we may disagree, but I think we all have a right to speak and share some of our thoughts and opinions, and that's what it's all about, because we'll all learn from everybody.
Yep. Absolutely. As I said before, the quarantine apiary got hit with a storm quite badly. It was a large tree fell into the apiary, so it knocked one of the hives over, and unfortunately the queen has died in that one. Yeah, not much you can do about those guys, but we're hoping they're going to maybe raise another queen, but it's pretty unlikely, eh?
Yeah, I doubt they will. I think that they must have got so chilled with all the heavy rain as well, so it's sad, isn't it?
Absolutely, and thanks to Jim and Jill and Irene for their kind donations over the last couple of months. It's awesome, so thank you guys.
Awesome!
And we've been watching a documentary on the Netflix. It was about Rachel Carson, who's the author of the book Silent Spring. And that was interesting, I enjoyed that book. It was kind of like an historical... Oh, the book's good, but the documentary was about her life, and I didn't realise there was so... she did written other books as well, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and I asked you to go and get it for me.
It's on its way.
Yay! I honestly think she was a woman ahead of her time, and I think her intuition and the way she saw what's happening in the world at that time was amazing. And, it's so true. And unfortunately, it's happening here today, what she's talking about. So she was quite a... I don't know, what do you call that?
Visionary, I think.
A visionary, yeah.
I mean, she was campaigning against synthetic pesticides and DDT, and she was instrumental in influencing President Kennedy to set up the EPA in America, I believe. So, yeah, it's a great book, and if you want to get a copy of the book, you can get it at kiwi.bz/silent, or search for Silent Spring on your bookseller.
Yeah, fantastic. It's worth a read, and I'm going to have a read of that. And I'll be doing that on my break, which we'll talk about shortly.
Yes, and I'm still struggling with time management with my new hours at work. It's a bit a struggle trying to fit life in as well as podcasting. So we're
Tell us about what's happening there, Gary.
Well, it's basically I have a new boss, and he's making people come in normal business hours, whereas before... I could finish at 2:30 in the afternoon, so you miss a lot of the traffic.
Yeah, but with that, you were starting at getting up at 4:30 in the morning, so it was a pretty long day anyway. But at least you got home at a reasonable hour, and there was still daylight.
Still daylight, so it gave you the opportunity to do some bee stuff, and also do more of the podcasting and the blog post writing. So yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. So hopefully that can get sorted out at some point in the future.
Yes. It'll all fall into place as we go along, Gary.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, what's been going on with you?
Well, lots of things have been happening in the last month or so. We've had 2 hive losses at the education apiary. They were due to varroa load. So what happened was I had been treating them with oxalic acid vaporization. Then we had some storms, and I didn't get back to them soon enough, and they... needed to be wintered down, so I wintered them down. They were looking pretty sad, and they just didn't recover. So I wintered them down far too late. I had 2 of them that I wintered down too late because guess what? I thought that they were really strong colonies, but the varroa load must have taken over, and the one in the middle of the 3 colonies I thought was pretty weak, and I wintered it down quite early, and that one is kicking ass, really, It's just awesome.
It was sad, because we were there the other day, and they were getting robbed out quite badly, weren't they, from some other apiary?
Yeah, it was absolutely frenzy there, so I had to take everything away. I've just left the boxes there empty, cleaned everything out, and I've got everything in the kitchen waiting to be sorted out. So, yeah, that was heartbreaking, because that was my queen that I really had dreams that I would get her through another winter. So it's my own fault. I should have gone there regardless, but the storm kind of stopped me. So, real life, that is outside of beekeeping does sometimes, take over.
Yeah. Amen, sister. Anyway,
Okay, moving along.
And what's happening at kiwimana HQ?
We had one loss due to the storm, which basically tipped the hive over, and it ended up in the lid, and the lid was full of water. So we put it back in place, and then we left it for a few days. Then we sorted it out about another few days after that again. So it would have been about 10 days after the storm. Went in and had a good look, but no queen was in there, but they were trying to raise some queen cells. So the last inspection that I did actually showed that they were just drones, really. They weren't proper queens or anything in there. So the eggs after the storm were just not viable enough. So what I've done is I had 1 week colony with a queen. So I have merged that. There's no sickness in there or anything. And I've merged that. And the colony that lost their queen through that storm, they actually sort of had this new lease of life. I don't know what happened to them. They weren't really prolific. And suddenly they started getting lots of nectar. And they're just really, focused. And I'm just saying it's just awesome. And so I've got to check it next week and see whether the queen is taken. And, I did the newspaper merge,
Yeah.
And I put the queen in the top because I reckon that's more likely to succeed. So I put her in the top, then the newspaper, and I gave them honey and some nectar frames and some pollen frames and put them in the top box. And this is the 7 frame boxes I'm using. And they've got a robbing screen on and a solid bottom board. So I'm just hoping that they are taking off. But I'll keep you posted on that one after sometime when we do our next podcast.
Yes, and that storm was horrendous, wasn't it? Because we had was it 124 kilometre winds?
Yeah, there was trees falling everywhere, and it's still
sheet metal flying in front of you. It was horrendous. And we didn't have power for
6 days.
6 days.
Yeah.
So it was hard to do podcasting.
So it's been pretty interesting times, guys, in the middle of all this, still doing beekeeping consultations and working with people on their hives. Some people have already wintered down. Some people are just carrying on with treatments. Yeah, I went to check another colony the other day where the customer thought that they might have been, struggling, and opened it up, and it was the lifestyler hive. And man, those girls are pumping.
Awesome.
So they look like they have had a bit of issues with Varroa, but he's just going to keep treating because he got a bit sick. So, but they're looking good. And the queen is healthy. She's laying. There's some brood. Awesome.
And you taking a stock take?
We're going to be doing a stock take, so we'll be closing the shop. We're working on the dates for that. And that will be so we can sort of hunker down and see what we're going to be doing over winter and what our plans are for the workshop and working on the new bee season.
That was in last week's newsletter, and if not, you can go to the website and you'll see the different dates in that anyway.
Excellent, and I think that we've got some new products that we're going to be doing some videos with. So watch the space, guys. So that's coming up for next bee season. And when does that start, Dale?
Oh, well, for us earlier, but officially September 2018.
That's right. 1st of September 2018 is the new bee season for us. So
you'll hear from us from August onwards.
Yeah, thereabouts, eh? Okay, well, did you hear, Gary?
I heard several times about this. It's awesome, isn't it?
I was so excited about this. And, it was great that the EU have made a ruling about neonics.
Yes, they've actually banned them for use outside. Well, it's starting in December, isn't it? But they're limiting the use of neonicotinoids to inside greenhouses only. So hopefully this will cause less damage to pollinators. And we'll have to see how that goes, eh?
Yeah, and also there's been some developments in India regarding the seed issues that were going on where the seeds copyright by Monsanto was causing so much distress to India's farmers, and some of them actually committed suicide through all this.
Yeah, that was terrible news. It was happening about 5 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, awful stuff, and it's just so good to hear that they have lost the right to patent seeds, and this happened on the 17th of April, so this is, this is happening right now, guys, so it's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. So is that only in India?
I think it is. I think it is at this stage.
If you're in India, that's awesome for you guys. Fantastic.
Congratulations. Yeah, awesome. So
we'll have a link to these two articles.
Yeah, with a bit more detail.
Okay. What should you be doing with your bees? In New Zealand, I've written, not much. Monitoring mite levels, reading books, get Silent Spring.
That's it.
And building and cleaning boxes, building frames, updating, repairing gear for next season, relaxing and reminiscing and enjoying the memories of the seasons past.
Oh, very poetic.
What about the UK? What's happening there?
Well, I guess you'd be making sure you'd have lots of boxes and frames for swarms. I heard that it's still a bit cold in some areas. You'd be checking for the health of your brood and doing varroa management. And the ways you can do this are by adding drone management frames so you can capture drone growth and in one place so you can check the cells for varroa presence. And you can cull the cells if you find varroa, or you can just freeze the whole lot and take them out. It's really up to you, but we use this in spring and put it in just before the official, about 3 or 4 weeks before the official start of spring. And that means at the bottom of the frame is empty, so the bees will draw their own comb in there, and generally that will be for drones. The drones are an ideal place for varroa because varroa can fit in the cells easy and they have a longer gestation period with the drones so they can feed off them.
And I also heard the other day, on my travels, that because they also prefer drones because they've got bigger bodies and they've got bigger, more hemoglobins, more blood to suck on.
Wow, that does make sense, doesn't it? Drone progress can also be used as an indicator when you can split. So if you're interested in doing artificial splitting, assessing the colony about a month before spring hits and seeing what is happening with the laying patterns, and if you start to see drones being laid, then you can use them as an indicator for when you want to do an artificial split. So if you see drones starting to be laid, obviously it's 24 days before they hatch. But if they're capped cells, that you see the capped cells, you've probably got another 13 days after that. Then they'll start hatching, and then 10 days after that they should be mature, and that's the time when you can look at doing a split. So that's another way to also have a varroa break, because you've got having a brood break while they're raising a new queen.
Yeah, no, and we've got a great method how to split your bees, And we got a message from John Gordon in Utah, and he's tried the method and it worked really well for him. So he's got a new queen now, so that's awesome.
And we also had a lady who said that she followed the instructions to a T, and now she has a new queen bee.
Awesome. Oh, I'm glad that method's working for you guys. That's fantastic to hear.
Okay, well, what other methods for checking for varroa presence are, Gary?
Well, you can do a sugar shake, which I've got a video on our YouTube channel. You can do a drop count.
Yeah, and the sugar shake is less harmful than an ethanol wash.
Well, ethanol wash kills the bees.
Exactly.
Yeah. But, some people, if you're looking for 100% accuracy, the ethanol wash is better, but I've never personally done it. So.
Nah, I disagree. The 100% way to find out is by watching every single bee that goes into the hive, putting them through a microscope.
Yeah, what about the ones in the hive that never leave or don't leave till later?
Yeah, they'll undergo an x-ray and they will be checked for varroa.
Well, absolutely.
Hitchhiking.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, the other day, we even saw some dead bumblebees with varroa mites on them, didn't we?
I put that out on the Facebooks, on the Kiwimana Facebook and our Bees Needs page, and because I was just looking at them and I'd just been doing a treatment of the surviving colony at the education apiary, and I was just cleaned the bottom of the baseboard and there was these 3 bumblebees, and they look really foreign because when they go into the hive they will get attacked by the bees and the bees will
pluck them.
Yeah, exactly. So they're really shiny, and one of them, I thought, oh, what's that? And I picked it up and I did it on the video, and I saw that there was a varroa on its abdomen and there was another one just over by its legs. So I found that very interesting.
Well, hopefully they don't jump to the bumblebee species, because in New Zealand they don't normally get varroa mites, do they?
Not that I'm aware. I've never seen anything like it. I thought maybe while they were being killed, they fell on them. I don't really know, but It was pretty bizarre.
I can't imagine varroa mites living very long in a bumblebee nest, but because they don't have the same levels of brood, do they?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Gary. Also, if you're doing splits, you need to check the splits to ensure the new season queens are laying properly. Generally about 6 weeks after the split, you should see eggs, and capping should start a few days after that. Keep an eye on that, guys, and we encourage people to keep their colonies and breed from those surviving colonies in the new spring, and I encourage that. Okay, well, moving on to the big old US of A. Wow.
Swarms are flying, I've heard from many people, and bee colonies being posted out and installed.
Yeah, they call them packages, eh?
They have packages of bees there?
Yeah, and they're having some queen issues, some of them, and some are swarming after they've been installed. So
that's weird, eh?
It is, and that's one of the reasons why I would really love to encourage those of you in the USA to start breeding your colonies. You know, try to keep your girls alive. You know, deal with varroa in an organic fashion and breed from them. And these packaged bees,
breed from the varroa mites.
No, breed from your surviving colonies.
Oh, okay.
Cheeky.
The other thing you can do to worry about swarms absconding that early, or bees absconding from packages, you maybe look at getting a nuke instead if you can, but I don't think a lot of people sell them, especially the big providers don't really sell nukes as much.
Yeah, and how do they usually make up these packages, Gary?
Well, they have a box with a big funnel, and they basically pour in like a certain amount of bees. I'm not sure, a certain poundage of bees, and then they put a queen in a queen cage, and they put a big tin of sugar syrup, and then they post it to people. So the bees and the queen have not really...
They're not a real colony.
Not really. They're sort of been put together. I'm guessing in the travelling they get used to the queen, and that's why she can get out of the queen cage when they get to the customer's apiary.
It must be blimmin' stressful for the bees, eh? Just being stuck in those boxes, and I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's a different way to sell bees, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't do it that way, but
no,
anyway.
We don't, no.
But the buzz is strong over there, and my concern for most of the beginners that I see on the posting on the Facebook is that they are unaware of the threat of the varroa destructor mite, and they don't know how to spot issues and deal with them. And I think one of the things I would be thinking is, you know, maybe try to encourage US beekeepers to try and keep their honeybees alive, and then, you know, teach each other through that, and then once they get through winter, breed from those surviving colonies like we were just saying, and then, you know, you wouldn't have to ship bees in boxes, and try and have bees from local areas. I'm not sure how possible that is for some areas, but I reckon that if they start breeding from those surviving queens, it may start to strengthen the honeybee over there, and their adaptability can keep continuing. And gosh, it'll save the hobbyist beekeeper lots of
dollars.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely. If you can get local bees from your area, they're much more likely to survive. They're much more likely to be acclimatised to your area. So absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome bananas, Gary.
And we've got a question for you.
Oh, this is something interesting that you've been contemplating, and I actually love this idea.
Oh, no. Well, because we have this section called, we've just talked about it, what to do with your bees in your area. But do you want to be a local reporter? And we'd love it if you could be part of the show and record like a little minute or 2 minute thing about what to do with your bees in your area and what you're experiencing, what the weather's like. And you can say who you are and where you're from and what your website is if you want to. So if you live in one of these countries, can you send me an email? First country, United States. Second, Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom, which obviously includes Northern Ireland and Scotland and Wales. So if you could record a quick update of what's happening with your bees at the moment, 1 or 2 minutes in the local weather conditions, and email that to Gary at kiwimana.co.nz and make the subject Roving Reporter, because that will just really make you guys part of the show, and it would also help local people in your area.
Yeah, awesome. Could they do it on SpeakPipe too? Is that possible? They could.
I think SpeakPipe's limited to 30 seconds, but it's got a limit.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you could just do it on your computer with it in a WAV format or a sound file, we can add it to the show later on. So don't worry about too much about technical stuff, as long as it's clear and it's a good recording. So send that to me, and over the holidays I'll look at them, and we can try and get a few regular reporters out there.
That'll be awesome, and it'll be so much fun too. And we have a bit of fun with it, so it's all good, guys, and we look forward to it.
Blog recap. This is the top content voted by your vote last month.
What was the top?
It was Vanquish the Varroa Mites, episode 121. And number 2 was?
We All Rise Together, and we talked to Les Crowder. That was episode 122.
That's right. And the third one was How to Prepare Your Bees for Autumn. Who wrote that?
You did, didn't you?
No, that's your one.
Oh, I thought it was your one.
Oh.
Anyway, that was a popular one. That was number 3.
And number 4 was the 12 must-see TED Talks for beekeepers.
Yeah, we took a bit of time to put that together, and we watched quite a few TED Talks to find these 12, which we thought would be awesome. And, yeah, we hope that you guys enjoyed it. We've had a bit of feedback, so, yeah, it's all positive, so awesome.
Yes, absolutely. You can if you haven't got a chance to listen to those 12 or watch those 12 videos, you can do that over the winter months in the southern hemisphere. And what products have you been using in your work? Well, I've been using the mini hive tool. It's like a hive tool, but it's really small. But it's quite good because it fits in the palm of your hands and it makes it much easier to clean frames. What have you been using, Margaret?
Yeah, that mini hive tool's really solid too, eh?
I was actually quite surprised, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be sort of cheap and nasty, but it's really nice.
We've sent some out to a few lucky people, so we hope you're enjoying them, guys.
Oh, yes, we had a promotion on bee suits and you got a free hive tool, so that was good, eh?
Yeah, and people are, happy to get them, and, they'll get back to us when they start using them again. So, it's awesome.
And what have you been using in your work this week, this month?
Well, Gary, because it's that time of the year and because of the issues that we faced after the storms and not being able to get to the colonies, I've been just zapping the girls with oxalic acid vaporization. So I've been using my vaporizer, my battery charger for my battery, and of course lots of oxalic acid crystals and two old pillowcases.
Awesome. Because do you know that video of me doing the vaporization on YouTube? It's had like 33,000 people watch it.
That's fantastic, and it's
imagine every one of those bought a vaporizer off us.
Oh, we'd be very happy people, and we'd be able to say we're going to do this. I mean, I do this full time now, but it'd be great if you could be part of that team. So,
oh yeah, I could take this job and shove it, couldn't I?
Oh, goodness
my day
me.
job. Yeah.
Indeed, that would be awesome. And we just wish that everyone would become supporters through our Patreon, through the Patreon application or whatever it is in your lingo, Gary. And $1 a month. Gosh, that would just help so much.
Let's move on to the news. Beekeeping news. News you cannot lose.
This very interesting part of our show is brought to you guys through those supporters who help us through Patreon. And especially this month, we would like to thank
Lisa Morrissey.
Yay, Lisa!
Lisa's been supporting the Kiwimana Buzz since October 2016.
Were you going to talk about Morrissey?
No. I wonder if she knows Morrissey.
I don't know. Maybe a distant relation.
Maybe. Special thanks to Lisa for all the help you guys give, and also thanks for the reviews you did in the latest Auckland Beekeepers magazine. It was awesome.
Yes, I really appreciate it, Lisa, and we just love you.
Absolutely. Thanks for all your support, guys.
As this is the end of the bee season 2017, we just like to reach out to you, patrons, and thank you so much. And as we've gone along and we've shared all these stories, this particular story coming up is possible because of
all you wonderful patrons.
That's it, Gary, and let's go for it.
Okay, first story of this month is another victory in the case for Manuka's New Zealand origin. The term Manuka has been certified in New Zealand, which surprised me. I thought it was already certified. And quoting from this article, the Intellectual Property Office of New Zealand has accepted the term as a proposed certification mark.
The office said that the certification meant the mark Manuka honey will differentiate New Zealand's honey from other countries like Australia.
Cool. So it's a registered trademark now in New Zealand. It's also a registered trademark in the UK, isn't it, already? So that's good.
Fabulous. And what feedback do we get from this one, Gary?
Well, we heard from Lyle Keynes. I was going to use some expletives, but I'd better not. No, you better not. Criminals trying to capitalise on your national treasure.
Yeah, I think he's saying expletives.
Expletives. Oh, sorry. And John Thompson, he says, I understand it was Tasmania as the original place for Manuka honey. Well, not the word Manuka honey, for leptospermine honey. Yes, all three, New Zealand, Australia and Tas, have these trees that are something very beneficial to one's health through the honey that the bees produce.
Yes, and there's something special about leptospermine as well that we talk about a bit later on, eh? Another product that it produces.
Absolutely. What does Angie Duff say?
Angie says, so what does this actually mean in terms of stopping Australia using the word Manuka?
Well, it means they can't send their honey to New Zealand to sell it as Manuka, but they can't anyway, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah,
and I think once we get the trade name then over, they have to just, find their own way, their own name. And we've covered that quite a bit, haven't we?
Yes, we have. The next battle is to trademark the name Pavlova, so we can trademark Pavlova desserts.
And jandals.
Yeah, we're just having a dig, Aussies. It's all right. We love you still.
Yeah, we love our Aussie neighbours. Don't you be wrong about that. That's it. Okay, what's next, Gary?
Next one is the one that you're doing. It's called A Lot of Blood, Sweat and Tears. East Coast companies cutting out the bees to make the most of a Manuka plantation.
Yeah, the product of some uniquely Eastern New Zealand innovation. A scrubby plant once described as a weed is being grown commercially. Nobody has ever tried to do what we are doing here. The New Zealand Manuka Group, a company on the east of New Zealand, is extracting something different from Manuka tree. And it doesn't involve any bees.
Well, let's hear this article.
Manuka, or Leptospermum scoparium, is a huge earner for this country. Last year, New Zealand exported 9,000 tonnes of honey, most of which was Manuka-based. Just about all of it is gathered by bees from wild sections of native bush.
Well, one company has decided the future of Manuka products might not involve bees at all. They've been developing the world's first commercial Manuka plantation that's focused not on honey, but oil. Lucas de Jong headed for East Cape to beautiful Te Kaha to see for himself.
Between these hills, a scrubby plant that was once a wild weed is being grown commercially.
Gotta grow.
This is
the world's first scale Manuka plantation. No one's ever tried to do what we're doing here.
This isn't just about honey. What Carl and the team at New Zealand Manuka are trying to do is harvest the whole plant to extract those beneficial oils.
Wow.
Hey, was that Newsboy?
That was Newsboy.
Newsboy used to do this thing with Mikey Havoc, eh?
Oh, years ago.
Years ago. Oh, it's good to see him getting all serious in his suit and everything, isn't it?
Did I tell you that he liked one of our photos on Instagram the other day?
Well, why wouldn't he like it?
True. Yeah, so it's interesting, eh? They're using oil instead of extracting the honey, so a lot less bee stings, I think. That's a great, it's fantastic, isn't it?
And I do understand that the Ministry for Primary Industries has been having some funding available to those people who want to do plantations and, plant up any areas that are that can, grow Manuka trees. So, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it is such a great bacteria kill, isn't it? And gets rid of fungus, but it's very strong, so you have to dilute it a little bit. But man, that'll be awesome. See, Manuka just keeps on giving.
Yeah, because it's funny because I actually have a tea tree oil based deodorant, and it's grown and it's from Australia.
Exactly, and they don't call it Manuka tree; they call it
tea tree.
Tea tree oil. So
it's funny how the tea tree oil you buy here is in Australia. Even in the shops I've seen Australian tea tree oil. So.
Yeah, it'd be good if we could buy our own, man.
Well, maybe we will.
Okay.
And what's the feedback?
Feedback looks good, Dale. Matthew Jordan says it's a good thing. It grows back. Good shit. Good to see them going hard, and it's great to see
them going hard. Better than people just spraying all the tea trees they have.
That's it, because they always, want to get rid of them, but they're beautiful trees. You need to save them.
People still get rid of Manuka trees? I would have thought that would be crazy nowadays.
Yeah, they do, but I hear what he's saying. So Robert McGuinness says, so the bee community should get concerned. Why? Someone found a better return from Manuka than honey? Can't blame them for that, eh?
No, absolutely. And I said, and less bee stings, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nathan Organ, and he's from Aussie, hasn't he?
He is, and he's one of our supporters, so thanks, Nathan.
He says, tea tree oil had been around for years and years. It's well known to be beneficial for all kinds of things. And ain't that the truth, Nathan?
Yeah, but this is New Zealand tea tree oil.
And so it goes on.
Nathan, we're biased. Remember that. Okay, Glennis Carr says, I could be wrong, but the tea tree oil that's been around for years is Australian Melaleuca, and the New Zealand variety a relatively new product. No, that's true. I think that's true. Absolutely.
She says, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, we're not correcting anything because you're bang on there, Glennis. Here's Nathan again.
We have many varieties of leptospermum in Australia. New Zealand has two. Quite a large number of Aussie tea tree, aka Manuka, aka leptospermum, aka jellybush. Can't make a decision, guys. Have medicinal properties, some far more than the two species in New Zealand. Tea tree oil is derived from plants such as these. Also, Manuka honey is great for treating wounds because it creates hydrogen peroxide on contact. The oil would not, so would not be as effective. So while it's interesting, it's hardly a new idea or likely to be a miracle drug.
A new miracle drug, eh? Well, I don't know. I have a few thoughts about that it's another way to use the Manuka plant. And, yep, I've seen stuff from Australia. They're already producing some things. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And I'm not sure if there's just 2 species in New Zealand.
I don't think there's more than that.
Anyway, that's a whole other podcast, isn't it?
I think maybe because what it is, the oil thing is a new thing here, isn't it? Relatively.
Yeah, I don't think many people have been doing that. I think we're just learning new stuff, aren't we, as we go along. And what does Hayley have to say, Gary?
She says, damn, I thought there was a pot crop for a sec. Yeah, well, that's another cash crop we sell in New Zealand, so that's awesome.
Okay, Karina Ellis says, kiss to whānau, I think.
Awesome. Thanks,
and
Karina.
That's awesome, and I think, this is just fantastic. And you go, guys. So what's all this about Beehive Boom putting Apiarists on the breadline?
Well, Beekeeping New Zealand President Russell Barry is saying that beekeeping is not sustainable in New Zealand due to the high number of hives. He feels big corporates are overstocking areas and yields are lower than usual. But doesn't he work for a big corporate?
He is the big corporate, isn't he?
Isn't he Arataki Honey? That seems funny to say
that's
that,
interesting.
Russell. Anyway, that's
good
okay.
Good to see this article come out. And what is the quote here, Dale?
Beekeepers are warning some in the industry are at risk of going bust because there are too many hives. The jump in popularity and the price of Manuka honey in recent years has meant a boom in production.
Okay, so he's saying that there's too many hives in New Zealand.
Yeah, and further in the article he says some hives are only producing 10 kilograms of honey, which isn't much, is it?
Yeah. Well, I think that in the last 2 seasons and we're getting some natural attrition, as it were, in the beekeeping industry, and a lot of the people who came along for a quick buck are actually gone now. So I think that's going to continue, and then the real beekeepers will stick around. And I'd love to hear what the feedback is on this one.
Oh, well, Anthony McGuinn says, interesting reading from the States. Hives worth, I think he means $1,000. Packages of bees alone is about $150, then add the woodware. I think because he talks about the price of hives in New Zealand. And Jay Bennett saying, media exaggerating. Anthony, hives are worth around 350 to 500, nukes around 200, and mated queens 50 to 75.
Yeah, that's interesting because I kind of think that those are prices that are not really realistic in our world. Up in Auckland, we're looking at single boxes around $460 to $620, just depending on the quality. But a lot of people are getting ripped off too. So there's, you really want to find a reputable queen breeder or breeder of bees. But yeah, I think I'm not really sure about this article myself. I think that there has been a big build, because we had the same issues here, when we got lots of people coming in. They thought this is a very Manuka, bush area, so they're going to chuck all their hives here. And then we had nothing but fierce robbing. We had
AFB,
and all sorts of things going on in this area.
Abandoned hives.
Yeah, so I kind of hear what he's saying, but I also think that the prices that are being talked about in regards to beehive colonies, well, it's all different, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Jay Bennett goes on to say, I really wish the media would stop portraying our hives as being worth so much dollars. $1,000? It is not true. Currently they are worth around $400. I do expect them to be worth quite a lot less come spring after 2 poor seasons.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Robert McGuinness says, I can't agree with your statement of hive cost. I've seen hives advertised between $400 to $1,000 on Trade Me.
Well, only go with the $400 ones.
Jody Webster says, are the $1,000 hives selling though?
I wish they were.
Have been looking a lot lately, and not surprisingly, the cheaper ones have way more interest or on more watch lists than the more expensive hives.
Wow, $1,000. If you need bees, guys, just get in touch with us, because we'll be selling bees next season and we won't be charging you $1,000.
Yeah, just go on our waiting list. There's a lot more about prices of hives and everything, but I think the reality is that this article's about there being too many beekeepers around. I don't know how the price of hive boxes and beehives got into that.
Crazy. Oh, I think...
They all went off on what, Gary?
Tangents.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the article, Russell does talk about the cost of bees being so expensive. So he's saying that that's why people are stealing the hives as well. That was justification.
Oh, okay. So there, I get that. See, that pays to read things before speak.
You did read it, didn't you?
I thought I had read it, but obviously not enough.
That's all good. And Lyle Kens.
He says, I wonder when someone is going to offer private security services for these problems.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some insurance companies giving out, offering insurance on hives now. That's
interesting, eh? I wonder what the premiums are like.
Sweet.
And the questionnaire...
Sorry.
Imagine the questionnaire. It's like, does your hive lock the front door at night?
Yeah.
Does your hive have a personal security system?
Yeah. Is your hive connected to a security company?
Yeah. Does the hive leave the door open at night?
Well, that's a concern, isn't it? Because most beehives, they leave the door open all night. Perhaps they need to have locks on them all. Anyway, let's move on.
Oh, tangent.
Let's move on to some Australian ratbags. Hunt for Australia Day ratbags who destroyed 120,000 hives. What's this about?
Well, I think it should be called flaming ratbags, but anyway, or flaming mongrels.
Well, yeah, I know why too. Yep.
Anyway, while celebrating on a public holiday in Australia, which was to commemorate the founding on the 26th of January 1788 of the colony of New South Wales, a group of sods were...
Okay, quoting from the article, around 120,000 bees were destroyed when 2 hives were set alight. The 82-year-old owner, Ted Romer, is calling the men ratbags after the disappointing attack, News Corp Australia reports.
It is believed Mr. Romer has been nurturing honey for about 15 years. This is the second attack on the hives in about 4 months.
Oh, man, that's terrible.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call them men, and I wouldn't call them ratbags. I'll call them bloody mongrels, really. I mean, this is terrible, and a second attack as well. And you've got to read the article, guys, because it talks about what they did, and it just makes me so upset how cruel these little buggers are, to be honest.
They set them on fire?
You have to read the article, Dale.
Okay, well, I did, and that's what it said. But yeah, no, I agree, guys. Read that. It's terrible, and we've got some feedback from Jason Wade.
Boy, did we get some feedback from Jason Wade. And he says, bullet in the head.
That's pretty severe, Jason. Anyway, what is Kim Wade? What are they related?
You sound like Uncle Mark.
Oh, they are related.
They must be related. Rana McNeil, she's not related. She says, media, poof. Ratbags is not the title I'd have used. I'm with you, Rana.
And Paul Jamard Silva. That's the result of not enough education provided at home by their parents. Absolutely.
Ain't that the truth? We were talking about, how kids behave these days, and, they used to be respectful. You'd walk into a shop and the kids would sort of, let the older folk pass, and they just walk straight through you these days. I had it today when I was dropping off some parcels.
Well, I find
no respect.
I find that with people, with women, they don't open the door for women anymore. They don't You're
a bit of a chauvinist there, Gary.
No, I think they should do that, but they don't nowadays, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that people seem to be less respectful, of others.
I don't know.
Well, that's my personal feeling on the matter.
I think things are changing. Anyway, what does Anthony McGee say?
Sounds like upset neighbours.
Yeah, but you think you'd recognise them, wouldn't you? Because you've got CTV pictures of them.
Oh, well, I hope they get caught.
Well, maybe they're not close neighbours. Well, they will live in the area, won't they?
Yeah, they'll be close by. And Colette Nicole said, shitty, spoilt little sociopaths. That's pretty good.
That's good. And what does Gil say?
Jill Ashmed McCoy says, ratbags, scum and oxygen thieves is more like it.
People get very passionate about these subjects.
Boy, you wait till you hear the next one from Hayley.
Hayley Sunderland, what does she say?
Be calling them more than ratbags. Pathetic wankers, more like it. Just say what you really feel, guys.
Yeah, come on, tell us what you really think. I'll have to get the bleep machine out for that one.
Joyce Kennedy says, hope they burn in hell.
Absolutely, Joyce, that is so true.
And we're finishing on that one, so it's awesome. Thanks for being part of the kiwimana buzz. We just love your feedback.
If the problem continued for the bees, I don't know if they would have made it.
No, I agree with that. So what's your number one beekeeping problem? This is when people join our newsletter, they get asked what their biggest beekeeping problem is.
Oh, yeah, but in the meantime, we try to help them with their problem. And what is the question that we got this month?
Well, the question was, this person, name redacted, finding and killing the queen in an angry hive. How do you do that?
Well, I think there's a method that you need to undertake before you even consider a move like this. So what do you think? Do you think...
If it's 2 boxes, you can put a queen excluder in between them and then come back in 4 days, and if there's no eggs in one of the boxes, the queen's in the other box. So that helps a bit, doesn't it? At least you can isolate it to one box.
I think that's a good idea. So you'd be trapping her in either box, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you check for the presence of eggs. So that would indicate that the queen is there. So assessing also is why you would want to get rid of the queen.
Well, I guess because she's angry.
So she's nasty. Maybe they haven't been treated very well. I mean, sometimes I reckon you can turn these colonies around.
Bit of counselling, you reckon?
Bit of counselling. I think that there needs to be a meeting out front and a discussion held with the colony.
Well, the other thing with an angry hive, you can think about if you move it somewhere else, because it may be something in the environment that's causing it to be angry, like it's getting attacked by animals or something. So that's another option.
Yeah.
But I had another idea.
Yeah.
What you can do, and this is a technique that someone told me once, and you can get a frame of eggs from another hive that's been disease checked, obviously. Stick it in the angry hive, leave it for like 5 minutes, then pull that frame out, and generally the queen will be visiting that frame because she can smell another queen, and that sometimes works too. So you can find the queen that way.
Oh, there's some really good things. So your thoughts are is do some actual work to make her appear.
Yeah.
The other thing you said about the threats, some hives behave really badly when they're thirsty, eh?
Yeah.
They can be really nasty. So, it's assessing the environment around the hive as well as to why they might be angry. Sometimes bees are angry because they have no queen, because they're busy trying to raise a queen. Gary's saying, okay, get the queen to check out a frame of fresh eggs from a healthy hive. And the other one, the queen excluder in between the 2 boxes, and whichever box has no new eggs. And then from there, oh my gosh.
Lots of ideas.
Yeah, and then once you find her, I just can't even think of that being
If you don't like to do that, what you could do is put her in a little matchbox and put her in the freezer, and then she'll go to sleep.
Okay. And then I think it is important to do some assessment of the environment, and then before you make drastic decisions like this, you should always make an assessment first.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And in some worker bees are angry because they've been forced to work 12-hour days. But that's another story.
Yeah, it's a union thing. So anyway, Gary, what I was going to say also is that after the queen is killed, obviously you've got to have another queen ready. You also need to check the laying of the new queen that you put in there. You might order it from a bee breeder, or you might give them eggs from the other colony and they raise it, and then you have to wait 5 weeks for them to raise a new queen. So there's things to be done afterwards as well, guys.
Absolutely. Okay, so hopefully that's fixed your number one problem. And if you've got a problem about beekeeping, go to kiwi.bz/problem or leave a message on our SpeakPipe service, which is on the right-hand side of every page.
And if you've got a problem about anything else, just send it to sorted.org.
If you've got an urgent problem, check out the Bees Knees Facebook group, because that's probably more quicker answers. Feedback from you guys.
Yeah, and do you want to show your support? Do you think that when you listen to kiwimana, you're getting some information that is worth, well, maybe $2? Okay, if you do, then you can make a $2 donation to kiwimana through Patreon. And it's a way that you can contribute to the work we do here at kiwimana. And simply as little as $2 a month donation makes a real difference to help us continue creating free content, written blog articles, podcasts where we interview other people, where we talk and give you advice and lots of fun things, and newsletters.
Yes, every 2 weeks.
In this show, we want to thank you because we have 4 new supporters.
Yes, that's amazing, isn't it? In the last couple of months, we've had 4 new people join us, and they are Trish Stretton,
Barbara Weber, Greg Parr, and Irene Townsend. And I tell you what, we are so grateful. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thanks for supporting the Kiwimana Buzz, and your help keeps us going.
And you can easily become a patron or a supporter of us, and there'll be a link on that for you to have a look at that.
Yeah, if you just go to kiwi.bz/banana. And seriously, guys, we're having a break now over the next couple of months. So if you do get value from us, drop us an email and just tell us what the show means to you, because we'd love to hear that. And that'll keep us going, won't it, Dale?
I think so. And you know, we're always assessing the efforts that we put into this, and we love getting feedback from you. And here is an email that we got. And it's so good to get some feedback. And Jeff and Linda from Tanoni in North Sydney say...
They go on to say that they're beginner beekeepers, and this past weekend they went to Sydney and they found our podcast prior to leaving, and they thoroughly enjoyed our presentation and the information and the light humour. We even enjoyed the way Margaret would break into a song now and again. It's terrific to find people so passionate and helpful. So, Dale, your musical career may take off yet.
You never know. I'm just waiting. And I can't even think of a song to sing right now. But it'll come. It'll come.
And he's joined the Bees Knees page, and he's also following us on YouTube. So thanks so much, Jeff and Linda Richards. That's awesome. And we appreciate... We were on your trip down to Sydney.
Yes, fantastic. And we had a great time.
We did. We did.
Anyway,
okay,
Gary, what are we looking at now?
Oh, we've got some reviews from the Apple Podcasts, previously known as iTunes. And this one here is from Coffee Waffle, and the title is Love, Gary and Margaret. Oh, that's so fantastic.
We love the love.
We love Coffee Waffle too. It's awesome.
Oh, waffles sound awesome.
Yeah, 5 stars, and he or she is from the United States. As a new beekeeper, I relish everything I can read or listen to. Gary and Margaret are a joy to listen to, and I learn something new with every podcast. They are fun and upbeat, unlike some bee podcasts that are droll and dreary. Keep up the great work down there. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Coffee Waffle.
Thanks up there.
Yeah, thanks up there. See, this is what keeps us going, doesn't it, Dale?
I tell you what, man, it really, truly does.
I won't start
It's all right.
crying.
Look, I'll get a tissue. Here's a tissue.
Indeed. And the next one is from PJ of Sydney. And he's from Australia. Well, that must be Sydney, Australia, obviously.
And he says, fantastic podcast.
5 stars.
Awesome. Gary and Margaret's passion for bees is contagious and makes their podcast a must-listen for both new and experienced beekeepers alike. The duo feature guests who share just as much passion and knowledge as their hosts and help make their show relevant for beekeepers around the world. A must-listen to anyone interested in bees or just connecting with the natural world around us. Oh, thanks, PJ.
Thanks, PJ. That's awesome. And the next one is from the United States. It's the title is Fun and Informative. This is from JJ Stroke, and they've given us 5 stars.
5 stars, man! That's fantastic.
Every review's 5 stars. Great podcast for any beekeeper. If you're just starting beekeeping or have been beekeeping for years, Kiwimana has great guests and awesome tangents.
Yay!
There's a vote for the tangent. Oh, and this is from Joel, the North Idaho beekeeper. Well, thanks, Joel.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. That's fantastic. And, you know, honestly, guys, with our supporters through Patreon and through our emails and everything, getting stuff like this just makes it so much more worthwhile. And you even brought Gary to tears tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's fantastic.
Some more music, Gary. Yay!
That's loud, isn't it?
That's loud.
But that's what we're like. We're loud. Anyway, this is the next thing is the bonus show. This is a show for the amazing supporters we have. And in this week's show, we're talking about blimmin' murder by councils and making soap from bees.
Ouch.
Oh, I hope I'm not squashing bees. The bonus show is...
No imagination there, Gary.
The bonus show is for our amazing supporters who use Patreon where they give donations to say thanks. So thanks, guys. That is amazing.
Absolutely. And, yeah, you too can listen to the bonus show and get a little extra. But you have to be a patron.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the next show, this may not be the next show because we're not sure yet.
Well, we're thinking we might have a next show. What do you think, Gary?
Well, it's possible, but we'll see. But this one might come after the next Margaret and Gary show. And this is with an interview with Jim Hepburn from Wellington. He's actually a backyard beekeeper from the hills of Wellington in New Zealand. And you'll know what that means because he keeps bees on a hill.
I call them the hilltop beekeepers.
Yes, absolutely. And if you want to listen to any of the future shows, you can subscribe to this show in your podcast device, and they will appear auto-magically.
Wow.
Or you can download our free application, which is in your App Store for Android and Apple devices.
Fantastic, Gary.
And the show notes for this podcast are kiwi.bz/124.
Alrighty, so where are we at right now, Gary?
Wow, that's the end of the show. So thanks to everyone that's been supporting us over the season.
I do want to say something.
Okay.
I just think this season has been really interesting, and I think I've learnt heaps of stuff about Varroa, and that Varroa is getting ever-present and an ever-present danger and ever stronger. And I just wish that, that people would stop using chemicals and miticides and start going organic. And that's my wish as we come to the end of our bee season. What about you, Gary?
Oh, well, I wish that storms didn't blow trees onto beehives. I wish companies allowed flexible time.
Okay, guys. Well, now that's it. Well, thanks so much for being here.
I could go on, but I won't.
Yeah, awesome. Now moving on, Gary.
Okay, well, we appreciate you guys being with us tonight, and that's awesome, and we will get the show on the internet very soon.
Also, and then just thank you so much, and enjoy over there in the countries that are going through their bee season. We just wish you every best result for your bees.
Absolutely. See you guys.
See ya. Bananas for Lydia.
Banana!